What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Mat Pod. I am your host, PJ North. It was a long week off. 2 weeks since you've heard from us. I apologize. User error. I'm unable to operate my broadcasting software, obviously. But nonetheless, we are back this week talking all things wrestling, getting caught up on all of it. But before we do that, if you're watching live on Twitch, thank you. Leave a comment, man. Chat with us. I'd love to answer you some questions. I got the live chat fixed now, too, so I can see it live. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. Hit that like and subscribe button. It helps out a bunch. Comment your thoughts on what we're talking about. Let us know. Share with your friends. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, leave a 5-star or a 1-star. Just to let me know that you're listening, man. We do appreciate everybody, all my friends, family, everybody that's checking it out that likes wrestling. I know there's some folks that don't even know us that are listening, so we appreciate all of those things. We're going to get into it. A lot of wrestling, a lot of things happening lately. 3 straight weeks of pay-per-views, and we're finally on the heels of a break with Thursday Night Football, obviously, tonight. And the NFL is in full swing and all of those things, but we are a wrestling show. So let's talk some wrestling. I've got my boy, the young mailman himself, Tancredi. Tank, what's a good word, baby?
What's going on? I'm excited to be here. You know, we had a nice all-out this weekend. We had a nice Dynamite last night, a really good Raw, and even a great NXT.
Man, we were talking about Omega today. I even popped out and wore my Omega AEW shirt, changed the world. Shout out to Kenny. Man, I hope we get Kenny back soon.
Dude, I'm hoping he shows up at Grand Slam.
Man, just a lot of things happening in wrestling right now. AEW is as hot as it's ever been, and we're going to get into to that. We're going to talk some topics here with the headlines, and the headlines read. This week, we're going to start it off with maybe if I was on the – see, look, I'm always prepared and then unprepared, and this is what happens. I was listening to a Conrad thing before this and threw me off. One thing, talking about Dynamite last night, obviously, and we'll get to the AEW All-Out Fallout, but we saw the tag team Casino Gauntlet, but we didn't see Motor City Machine Guns. Shout out to the Mitten. They didn't show up, so word on the street is Motor City Machine Guns are showing up at NXT. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's hard because I don't get it. I don't see,
Yeah.
I think that AEW has really dropped the ball on the tag division.
I agree 100%.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, when they book tag teams, it's great. They nail it every time.
Every time.
I don't know what they're really focusing on trios. And I don't know. I just feel like people aren't that into it.
It's almost like they're like, hey, maybe it's a merch thing, right? Maybe it's like, how can we send out every single guy that we have on our roster every week to try to get over and to see who the fans like? Or I feel like, to your point, is they're not booking the tag team thing right now. And then when they do, it's the Young Bucks are exceptional. I really liked the EVP gimmick at first. Lately, it's obviously they do it so on the nose, and that's why it's funny, right? Like that last night, they whipped out the zip chairs, AEW's new line of office equipment, which I find so amusing. So I don't know, man. But I agree. I love tag team wrestling. Obviously, I'm a huge tag team wrestling fan. So to not see the tag team, and I think this is in WWE as well, man. I think all 3 shows, the tag team divisions suck. They're just terrible right now.
To me, WWE does it the worst.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the time they end up breaking up tag teams that don't need to be broken up.
And that's like that's almost like a thing that's like a stayover from the Vince era, because he obviously didn't like tag teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which sucks.
I mean, I'm sure they'll do great.
Yeah.
I mean, you got them and the Lucha Bros reportedly going over.
Yeah, that's another one, man. Like, I just don't understand what's the point in signing these tag teams if you're not going to do anything?
I don't know, and I just feel like the Lucha Bros, they're going to get watered down in NXT. It's not. Which,
honestly, though, that might be a good thing, though, right? They might need a little watered down.
They might, but I also think that their best work is when they go balls to the wall.
Sure.
So, I just feel like, cutting them down, I don't know.
I'm interested to see what happens. I think that the understanding is for us as Motor City Machine Guns, as fans who have watched wrestling, have watched TNA, they are the quintessential tag team. Mind you, they split up. They both went different ways with their lives. They stopped wrestling Well, I mean, Chris Sabin is like a physical therapist on the side or something. Like they both have these own careers outside of wrestling. Alex Shelley obviously had a career after Motor City Machine Guns with the Time Splitters with Kushida. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see what happens with Motor City Machine Guns, but I do think right now the tag team wrestling in both WWE and AEW is kind of, it's not, again, and I'm such a huge fan of tag team wrestling that it's hard because I think that it should be showcased at the top, and I just don't think that it is right now. I do think I'm like the biggest FTR fans in the country, and I think that they kind of need to go away for a little while as well. So I don't know what's going to happen, man. We'll talk more about the AEW thing, obviously, but the Motor City Machine Guns, if they do show up in NXT, I'm interested to see how that goes. Because
too.
like I don't know what's the vibe there, right? Like why So we'll see what happens. But I mean, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they're obviously doing their thing. I'm excited. Anything but Nathan Frazier and Axiom winning him again, and I'll be fine.
You're like Fraxium?
I am over it, dude. I am so over it. It's like whatever. What do I know? I don't know. All right. Next headline, the new AEW Media deal, supposedly. And you know my favorite thing to talk about on the headlines is that I use clickbait that these other things have used because I find it so amusing. It's fine to talk about it, but to call it fact like some of these people do is what frustrates me, right? So there is in no way, shape, or form any way that Dave Meltzer knows the ins and outs of whatever media deal AEW has signed with Warner, if they have even signed it. Him or Alvarez. Neither one of them are business trained. No one's showing them a contract. No one's telling them the numbers. It's preposterous that these two would know. However, if they do, and it is true, cool. Man, I'm excited. Obviously, I mean, I don't know that I need more AEW TV. There was talks of that, right? There's talks of like another show on Fox Sports 1 or something I saw. I don't know if that was fiction, but there's like always this talk. And, I mean, I could do without Rampage. But a media deal is always good. And hopefully, my hope is that they get a streaming service that's not their own. Obviously, I'm a Ring of Honor fan. I would love to be a member of Honor Club, but it's expensive every month to have every wrestling thing going on. And I would love that to be on Max as well, man. So what are your thoughts? What do you expect from a new deal, and what do you think happens for AEW moving forward with that?
So I do expect them to be on Max. You have this huge library that's just building up, and you're not really using it, and they should be using it. That's the only way to grow their product.
Yeah.
Definitely having the pay-per-views on Max is a big upgrade. You don't want to have. I know people like us, we have our ways of getting the pay-per-view, but $50 for a pay-per-view in 2024, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
For one person, I mean, obviously, right?
Yeah, it's obviously going to make their numbers go up. I'd love to see them have another show. Listen, the problem with AEW is WWE has something for every day. Sure. And that's the problem that AEW runs into, where they don't have a platform to really branch out their content. They just have YouTube.
Sure.
And Instagram and all that stuff. For a while it's sustainable, but you need to move, like WWE's out there. They're on other TV shows. You know what I mean? Like they're all over the place.
Yeah, AEW really did that at first, right? When TBS was really buying in, right? You had the Cody, the Big Show thing. You had the wrestlers going on different shows and different things that that Turner and all of those companies owned. I agree. That's 100% it. They definitely need that.
I think a show on Fox Sports, if Fox really wants to keep wrestling on their programming, I don't see why, another hour show doesn't. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a small investment for Fox, and an even smaller investment for AEW to tape a match at the beginning of whatever to show it on a Fox Sports or whatever it may be for another hour, for sure.
And that says a lot for AEW, because at least Fox is like, Fox kind of booted SmackDown off of Fox for the most part.
I think, right, the thing about it being on television is they probably expected 10 million people a week to watch because it's on cable, or it's on regular basic TV.
Yeah.
But it's a Friday night at 8 o'clock, and like the people that are watching wrestling aren't sitting at home on Friday nights to a certain extent. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see what happens. I agree. I think Max is a good deal. It would be interesting. I'd have to obviously sign up for Max for HBO again. So we'll see what happens. It works for HBO as well. You're going to get $15 out of me a month or whatever it was. Shout out to AT&T covering my HBO Max for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, man, interesting. All right, last headline. It is Nigel McGuinness is back, and he's wrestling Bryan Danielson supposedly at Grand Slam. I saw that there was a thing that said if Bryan Danielson is cleared on the graphic. However, regardless of that, fantasy booking, I love Nigel McGuinness. He has been exceptional. He deserved color commentator of the year from PWI. Whether you guys like that or not, I think it is it's somewhat of an indicator of professional wrestling. It is a actual magazine, a journalistic approach. It is something real that exists, not in Brian and Dave's basement. So I think it's awesome, right? Obviously, it's great. WWE showed Cody Rhodes being #1 wrestler in the world. But Nigel McGuinness, man, is a great color commentator, but he is an exceptional wrestler. If you've never seen his Ring of Honor run, I used to have his 2-disc Ring of Honor DVD set. Big Nigel fan, man. I think that the Jawbreaker Lariat is one of my favorite things. He didn't do it at All In, which I was upset about. He did hit the Tower of London, which was cool. But if you've never seen a Ring of Honor pure match, it might not be your thing if you're not a wrestling fan, but the way that they tell a story in the ring is awesome. And also today, they almost to the day of 15-year anniversary when they both signed. Bryan Danielson signed with WWE, Nigel signed with TNA. To the day, their last match at Hammerstein Ballroom or Manhattan Center, wherever they have it in New York, to the day at Grand Slam. So I am overly excited for McGuinness. I ordered my Nigel shirt, which is back on Pro Wrestling Tees. Shout out to that. So, yeah, man. I don't know, dude. I'm excited. I'm a big Nigel guy. So you're gonna be there, and you guys are gonna be there. So what's your theory on it?
The only thing that I don't like is that they booked themselves in a corner, and they've been doing this a lot lately. They did it with Pac with
they
his
do it to get a match. Yeah, it's
a
weird.
national title shot.
Sure.
And I was like, you have MJF win. What about Pac? I mean, they paid it off. They made it work. But I really need AEW to tighten up with that because, you had this throwaway Royal Rampage on a Friday night in the middle of June, and you're like, all right, this is who's getting the Grand Slam title shot.
Yeah.
And then you kind of switched everything around at the last minute. It feels like panic booking to me.
They do book themselves. It is absolutely. It's almost like it's really funny in that you put it that way, is that it's very WCW, ECW-esque. ECW used to do this constantly too, where they would like lose track of storylines and people would just show up, right? And then you'd have and you're just like, okay. WCW obviously panic book constantly, but all of those bookings were bad. When AEW has done it, it's interesting because we want to see the match. It's not like they booked Berlin to wrestle Duggan in the middle of them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. They're booking we want to see Nigel versus Danielson. However, Nigel should have won the Casino Gauntlet, and then you wouldn't have had this problem.
Yeah.
Then you can use that thing there, right? I mean, at that point.
So I'm just speculating, but my theory is that you're gonna have Nigel and Danielson. My idea is you have Mox beat the shit out of Darby. You have Mox take this world title shot.
Yeah.
So you have Mox take this world title shot. Give him, I hate to do this, but if you're gonna go with Moxley, you gotta go all the way. You have him take the title off of Danielson. You have him take the title, and then you build to Darby and Mox again, and you have Darby win the title.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
They've been speculating.
That'd be cool.
I'm okay with that, but I don't know. I don't know what the plan is here.
Yeah, right now it feels just like a lot of great matches, which again we've talked about that. This is they've done a lot of great storytelling at the top, and there's been other cool stuff, but now it's with the reset of All In. where are we going with that? And that is a constant issue when you don't have a good roadmap, and that happens in life and in everything. Almost is in that, not necessarily everything has to go to plan, but you got to have some sort of plan. You can't just throw it at the wall and see if people like it, because I hate to say this, but people don't buy in. I'm bought into Okada being champion and his gimmick right now. The thing he's doing, he's building himself up, and they're doing a good job with that. Right? They're doing a great job with Mariah May. They did that with the Toni Storm thing. That was exceptional. They've done a really good job with the EVP thing is good to a certain extent, but they have to lose at some point. So they've done that, but there are other things that are like leaking in, like the Jericho thing makes zero sense. Why are we still dealing with that?
Well, the good thing about that is, if you watched last night, they're kind of hinting at Big Bill turning baby.
Yeah, I saw the nod. I saw it when it happened. And I was like, oh, it's kind of funny that he said the Friends thing and they focused on Bill. And then immediately you go to Twitter and every wrestling, every wrestling scientist has got it figured out. They're like, this is what they're doing. And it's like, relax, we get it. Everybody saw it. We all saw it. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I do think Grand Slam's going to be awesome. I'm glad you guys are all going. Is everybody going, right? It's everybody, the gang?
Yeah.
Nice. It's going to be great. Arthur Ashe looks pretty cool. So yeah, man, AEW, Nigel, can't wait to see it. With that being said, we're gonna get into our next topic, and it's the All Out Fallout. So we'll talk more about AEW here while we're on that linear path. Obviously, like I said, All Out was really great. Swerve Hangman stole the show. There was an attempted murder live on TV, which is pretty wild.
There were a couple attempted murders.
Yeah, and all in all, though, man, I thought it was really cool that at the end, attacking Danielson, I'm really interested in the Moxley thing. I'm really, really interested in the Moxley thing. I think he needs to be portrayed as that, and he needs to not wrestle for a while, because he was wrestling way too much. He was just on the it's too much of a good thing, right? And so my only question is that the tag team thing right now, obviously that there was no path headed forward. It doesn't look like. But they've done a lot of other cool stuff, man. The Okada Konosuke, that looks like that's going to be a thing. And again, I love Japanese wrestling. Yeah, but the best is Okada's character build, right? That was probably my favorite thing I saw last night. It was one of the toughest things I've ever done. Nah, it was easy, bitch. I was like, hell, this is my guy, man. Shout out to Okada. So I don't know, man. I'm interested. I do think, like I said, the fallout though right now is, and maybe they're figuring it out. Maybe they needed an episode to be like, okay, we got to reset and see what's hot still, right? Maybe that's what it is. A lot of talk about the Outrunners last night. Might have, should have won, and that would have made a lot more sense in theory. But obviously, Ospreay and Fletcher have history as United Empire. Maybe Mark Davis returns and takes Ospreay's place.
So, I was gonna say, I kind of hated that.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that they won. I don't think it makes any sense, but I like the pairing because of the United Empire.
I like the pairing too, but I again, seems like another panic booking situation.
No, 1,000%. That's why I was like, I don't understand the point here. Why are we booking Ospreay outside of Ricochet thing right now? Like, that should be, you're trying to figure out how to make that the biggest thing in wrestling, and you're talking about 2 stars, 2 guys who can really go. And that's, yeah, agreed 100%. That's what I thought about Dynamite that sucks, is that I'm just not sure where last night was going with some things. And sometimes with WWE, I don't know where shit's going either, but they're pretty, like, they'll beat you over the head with it. So it's like, if you don't know the first week, they're going to beat you over the head with it for the second, third, fourth week. So, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that. What was from All Out, what was your favorite match?
Dude, I freaking loved Stat and Willow.
Yeah, okay.
That match was awesome.
I like the ending.
Those 2 women are the workhorses of that division.
Yeah, man, Willow can go, dude. Her Dr. Bomb is sick. Stat is a monster. Obviously, I love Stokely Hathaway.
And the problem is, like, you have Mercedes and Mariah May as the champs right now, and I just feel like there's no one that can beat them.
Right now, Mariah has to stay up top. Agreed.
She has to stay up top.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go the Camille path with a little bit more down the line.
Yeah.
I
It's
would
got
go
to be
for
at
it.
least a couple months. They can't do the quick turn because that's like,
Yeah, no quick turn, but I just don't like. They had Queen Aminata.
yeah.
Like I just don't see her winning. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, she's a great. I think
she's
right now
great
what they
though.
could
Yeah.
do is they could build a lot of people up underneath, like you're saying from a female perspective. Like they can build all those people up in losses, right?
Mhm.
So like Mariah can win for 6 months and Mercedes can win for 6 months by beating all of their people that are coming up, and don't do it every week. Do it as a program to each pay-per-view. So as we go into what's next, Wrestle Dream, right?
Yeah.
Right? So as we're going to Wrestle Dream next week, you start a program with Sky Blue or Queen Amarada, or is it Amarada or Aminata? I forget.
Aminata.
Aminata.
So Sky Blue's her.
Sky's still her, right? But you know what I was using that as an example. But like you bring someone up, you have a little program of some sort that maybe Camille cost the win, and then now you've got 2 weeks where you can tell a story of like, well, you cost me this, blah 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 blah. Wrestle at Wrestle Dream. Now you've built that person up. Then you move on to the next one, and then that person is ready to continue. You have this build, and you're stringing things out like how the story has to work. In my opinion, that's how I feel about how I think it should work as a fan.
Yeah.
But I'm not a booker, obviously. That's kind of how I feel like it would be best entertained at that point.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Willow stat match too, though. I thought it was really cool. I think Willow's awesome. I mean, the conglomeration's probably one of my other favorite things going right now. Is
That's impressive because a lot of people tell me they don't like it. I mean, I'm not crazy about it.
I'm not crazy about the pairing, but you can't sit here and tell me that their backstage thing isn't hilarious
It's hilarious,
with Mark Briscoe.
yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. Look, man, New Japan's doing the same thing right now. They have a group called Just Five Guys, and it's absolute dog shit, but it's 5 amazing wrestlers. It's terrible. That is what the conglomeration should have been, but it's not. It's great. Just for now. It doesn't have to be for a long term. They're going to sell some T-shirts, though.
Yeah. So my thing right now is I need a break from Orange Cassidy.
Oh, 1,000%.
I need him to take a break.
Yeah, 1,000%.
He needs to take a break. Jericho needs to take a break.
I need
Jericho,
all of the AEW pillars. Well, not the pillars, but the guys who start. I needed them all kind of to take a break with that. Orange, the Darby thing. The guys come back every time he gets hurt, he comes back immediately.
Yeah.
I could use a break from him. I could use a break from Jericho. I could use a break from the EVPs. I could use a break from a lot of those people. I agree with that sentiment. That makes sense.
Like I said, with the whole TV shows thing, that's how you get more people on TV.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just, I don't know. I'm a little burnt out from some of the guys on the roster right now.
Do you think that they would be better served to split the rosters with Collision and Dynamite?
So, I think a little bit. I think it's a little hard because, I think Saturday is a lot harder for people to watch.
You ain't lying.
So I mean, I would think you would want to stack that up more to get people to watch.
Sure.
Because I know maybe in a month I might catch 2 collisions or 1.
Oh, I'm watching everything on Sunday morning for sure.
Yeah, it's like really hard to catch, and I think a roster split would be good, but I kind of like the unpredictability of you don't know who's going to be on that show.
Yeah, it makes sense. I agree with that sentiment. I think what was your? Yeah, I'll tell you my favorite match. Obviously, was the Okada 4-way. Just because, like I said, I don't get to see Okada wrestle. I've gotten to see him wrestle so much now in America that I never got to see. He didn't wrestle that as much that way in Japan, I thought. But I also thought it was like the interesting story arc, like we've talked about him, because I think the Continental title's so stupid. They have so many titles, and I think that it's dumb. But the way that the story arc for his thing that he's building right now is really good. And I also thought that obviously Danielson match was incredible. But I thought Hangman Swerve was match of the night overall. I'm not like a super hardcore wrestling fan, like as far as like hardcore wrestling. But I get that they have elevated their matches each time, which is nearly impossible. I mean, I don't know how they could do. It's like incredible, and I think that it is on the same path of, from a feud perspective, meaning something to a company. It is DDP Macho Man right now. That's how I feel about it.
It's been a great feud.
Yeah.
I've loved every bit of it. This tragic hero thing you're doing with Hangman, it's great.
Yeah.
I loved even last night when they had the Dark Order be like, we don't even recognize you anymore. Like, that's great stuff. That's great.
The only thing I hated about that segment was Jeff Jarrett doing he sounded like a robot. Like, it didn't sound like Jarrett was like, it was like he was just reading lines, and I was like,
listen,
Jarrett, you're my favorite. What are we doing here?
I got to give AEW credit. They made this man, Jeff Jarrett, a babyface in 2024.
Yeah, which is wild. I love Jarrett.
It's incredible.
I love Jarrett. I just felt like, I was like, why? That was weird. But I do think they're going to have a match probably at Grand Slam. It's going to be good. So that'll be good. What was your is there any of the event? Is there any matches from All Out that you would have changed the finish or changed the outcome?
That's a good question. I probably wouldn't have changed anything on there. As a Takeshita fan, I would have picked Takeshita to win. But, I see what they're doing with Okada.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to be great because they're going to go one-on-one, and it's...
Oh, I would have,
But I understand.
Yeah, I'm thinking of All In. I was about to say the London Ladders match. No, I don't think I would have changed anything. I think everything was booked pretty well.
I agree, man. I thought they did a great job, man. And Chicago fans are electric. That is one thing. I texted this in the chat last night, man. AEW crowds in America are the shits. It's terrible, except for their pay-per-view crowds. And I don't understand how that is. It's the same thing happening on Dynamite every week that's happening on pay-per-views. I don't get why the crowds suck at the weekly shows.
So I think it has to do a lot with, them picking these markets that aren't maybe good markets for wrestling. I know they're trying to expand their product, but, why are you going to fucking Utah, and there's like fucking 1,000 people in the crowd? New York. New York is a hot market for AEW.
Yeah.
Book more shows in New York. Book them on the East Coast. The East Coast goes crazy for this shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's
because WWE has oversaturated the market over there, and that's why they do better numbers on the East Coast.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. That's kind of just a thing. So I felt like they should just run more international shows for a while and just be like...
I mean, I'm totally down for the
Dude, Jarrett will tell you, and that's one thing I took from the Jarrett podcast a long time ago, that that's why they did that first thing after WCW closed, was they did that WWA tour in Australia, because it was just doing massive numbers. Just crazy folks coming to the shows because they don't get wrestling, right? And so, like, from an AEW perspective... What's the difference of having a taped show versus a live show for them? There's the difference, in my opinion, is nothing, because the people are watching the highlights. They're still going to watch it live. At that point, you see what I'm saying? In my opinion, for them specifically, it's not like WWE, where if WWE's taped, nothing's happening to a certain extent, right? Like, nothing was going to happen the night before Bash at Berlin at SmackDown. Yeah. Right? But something may happen at Dynamite that's taped that you're not going to see. And so for me, it's a little different in how it's presented. But I don't know, man. I just felt like the crowds sometimes ruin it. It's almost like I feel like sometimes they're in the Thunderdome again. Or in Daly's place or something. I don't know. It's weird. So either way, AEW on the come up. I'm excited. Went Grand Slam 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. Electric time. All right. Next one. This is a topic I want to...
The other exciting thing about Grand Slam this year is it's not Dynamite and Rampage, it's Dynamite and Collision.
Oh, that should be good then.
Yeah.
Gonna split that up.
Yeah.
It's not back to back, obviously. It's one's live and then one's taped.
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't been to many Collision shows. I've only been to a handful.
I've never been to one.
I went to I was at the one where Punk was fired.
Oh, that's right.
That was
brutal, right?
That was brutal.
We're gonna get to
when he came out with the steel chair, put it on the ramp.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal.
rough. It's a rough go of it for my guy TK. Rough go. All right, we talked a lot about AEW. Let's get into WWE here. Love and hate WWE. Obviously, I love WWE. I've had this argument with Miguel every day for the last, what feels like 6 years. I haven't known him that long, but it's a frustrating argument to say that it's... I love professional wrestling, obviously. I love all of it. I love the sports entertainment star side that WWE is. I love the electricity and athleticism that AEW is. I love the brutality that New Japan is. I love the niche that TNA is. I love the weirdness that GCW is. I love professional wrestling. So, but there are obviously things I don't like. There's things I don't like about a lot of stuff that I love. In WWE, man, I just want to know, what is your least favorite thing in WWE right now? Because I feel like everybody has it, but they're not admitting it because they're like, oh, it's the best thing. And it is the best thing. It's the best time to be a wrestling fan. It is the best time to be a WWE wrestler that it has ever been. But there's still, and I'm not nitpicking, there's just still some dumb shit, right? So what is your least favorite thing before I go on mine?
I got a couple. So I'm getting sick of these terrible team names.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fucking... The machine guns are gonna come in as the water guns or some shit. It's gonna be something.
Can you
stupid.
Imagine if they come in as the?
They're gonna be the super soaker.
There
water
it is,
guns
the super soakers. That's what I was trying to think of. That's amazing.
Something stupid. So the Lucha Bros, they're gonna be like, I don't even know.
It'll be bad. It'll be bad if they change it.
So I hate the bad team names. I hate Braun Strowman. Get this guy off my fucking TV. He's terrible. Get him off.
Sorry, Braun.
He's awful. I can't.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He has with
He's
me.
not.
Off my TV heat.
I have never known a big man that's a good baby face. A giant that's a good baby face.
Dude, it's terrible.
They're almost always way better heels.
And you know, I get you need someone like the Big Show.
Sure.
But this guy is not it. Get him
1,000%.
Get him off.
Not that guy. Yeah, agreed.
Solo Sikoa. Bad. He needs...
Well, see, man, I actually like Solo.
I like him in the ring.
Sure.
Don't let him talk.
Sure. Okay.
He can't talk. He's not good.
That's fair.
And the poor guy, I don't know if you've heard this rumor, but apparently they're doing this match on SmackDown in Steel Cage. And I hear Jacob Fatu is getting the title shot at Bad Blood.
Damn. Okay.
So... I remember months ago they were holding off on him because they said he was going to overshadow Solo. Yeah, he did.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, obviously Fatu has done a look at the shape that he's in right now. Look at the stuff that he's done. He is a definition of a WWE character. I agree.
But WWE has been a lot better. I like a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Oh yeah, we're going to get to our favorite parts, but we're going to hate on it first.
My only thing was, you know, with Jey Uso winning this match, they kind of booked themselves in a corner now. Because it's like, you want to give something to Jey Uso, but you just gave the title to Braun Breaker.
Yeah, they're not giving anything to Uso. I mean, that's the thing, is like, so to your point, like I said, there are a lot of things I also hate right now in WWE, and not a lot. I watch every week. I watch. Obviously, my biggest thing is I just think the Wyatt Six suck. I don't get it. Everybody's on board with it and cool, man. But the street fight Monday was a cool thing. But like, what's the point in American Made then anymore? Why even build them? Why not just have him? Why not just string out the whole thing and then have him break up with Alpha Academy or something stupid at that point? Why bring this whole new group together just to have them lose?
Yeah, I mean,
and then. Uncle Howdy looks ridiculous. He looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're not convincing me of anything. I'm out on that deal. So that is one thing I hate. I'll tell you this. American Made also is the worst. They have so many other good names they could have chose. I like the whole Pure Fusion Collective thing. I like it. I think it's clever. It's very Japanese wrestling.
I hate that more than I hate American
That's
Made.
Crazy. I love that. I thought it was good.
It's too much.
That's fair.
Too much of a name.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the last thing I'll say, the last thing that I hate, is the forced interactions with celebrities right now, or I don't know how to put it. I like Logan Paul as a wrestler. Obviously, I think he's done a terrific job as a wrestler. I get it. I'm not a Logan Paul guy outside of that. I think he's kind of a trash human, but that is what it is. And like all of these like forced celebrity interactions that he's bringing onto it, I kind of hate. But
it's funny because I actually kind of like them.
Really, that's hilarious.
I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I popped a little bit when they brought in Halliburton. Halliburton and
sure.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, but Halliburton's a real fan.
Yeah, so I'm okay with it if they do it right. Like they did it right with those two.
I think those were good. Yeah, I think that's good.
That was great. I don't hate it. I think it's a lot better than it was.
Oh, sure, 1,000%.
When they did like the guest hosts and shit.
Oh, man, brutal. So tell me, what is your favorite things happening in WWE right now?
I like anything CM Punk. He's been killing it.
Do you think I'm going to ask this as a true Punk fan, and I've asked, do you think babyface Punk is good, or do you just love the fact that Punk is back in WWE?
So, you know me, I'm going to tell you that I wish he was still in AEW.
Sure.
I wish he was.
Sure.
I prefer him wrestling every week. With WWE, he's not going to wrestle every week.
Yeah, he's going to wrestle, maybe 12 times a year?
Yeah. So, I was a fan of Punk being on Dynamite every week. It was the highlight of my week. He usually started the show.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I don't hate babyface CM Punk. I think that we've waited so long since he's come back for him to be a heel that when he finally does turn heel, it's gonna hit hard.
Yeah, that's my hope, is that I do think that happens. I mean, that's my hope for sure.
Yeah. So I think the stuff that he's doing in WWE is corny? Absolutely.
See, I don't mind the bracelet thing as much. That didn't bother me.
I don't mind it, but like the shit he's saying on the mic,
that is so cornball. Thank you.
Yeah,
okay. See, I knew
corny.
I wasn't the only one.
It's very corny, but because it's CM Punk, it's
okay. I get it. Yeah. And that's the benefit of liking and your favorite wrestler being good. That's the benefit.
Yeah.
That you can be a little you can be a little subjective about it in the sense of like, well, he's, it is what it is. I think that's another thing is that I wanted to say about something that's bothering me about WWE right now is the length. I love a good long storyline, but sometimes they're lingering a little too long. And that part where I'm like, either they're not cutting it off at the right time or they're not. I don't know. It's like it's a weird balance. And so right now it feels like some of the stuff's going on a little too long.
Yeah.
Like the LWO thing, dude, fucking kill me. It is so bad. They are absolutely terrible. And every single one of them is amazing as a singles wrestler. But the LWO is terrible.
I agree.
Yeah, so bad. But one thing I do love, a lot of things I love obviously about WWE, but the things that I do love is that they are continuing to try to get new they're obviously trying to build new stars constantly. That's part of their deal. But their ability to continue to make fresh feuds when they are doing the fresh feuds, or to reset, like the Rhea Liv thing is like done really good and it's continued on, and I like it that it's continued on. And so that's really great.
Speaking of Rhea and Liv, shout out to Liv Morgan for getting me the cool win.
I've never been more mad than that.
I could not believe that no one picked Liv Morgan. That was incredible. I said, dude, I'm gonna win.
I just didn't see that. I don't know, man. It
was funny because I picked up Mario to go to Miguel's.
Yeah.
And I said, who did you pick? And he was like, I picked Dom. And I was like,
same.
I was like, but dude, if Rhea gets the pin on Liv, Liv's been doing this whole thing where she's running away from Rhea.
Yeah.
This is the one time where she can't run away from Rhea.
It makes perfect sense. I just wasn't thinking, I guess. I was
Dude, I went from, I had just worked. I was so exhausted. I was like falling asleep on Miguel's couch watching this. Dude, she won. I lit up. I lit up for the main event.
Just a vibe. I thought Bash in Berlin was awesome too. We didn't get to talk about that. That's another thing I love about WWE right now too. Is their live shows are really, really good. Raw and SmackDown. I haven't. I'll be honest with you, man. Outside of the Cody stuff on SmackDown is tragic.
It's so missable.
It's tragic right now.
I haven't watched it in months.
Yeah. So, outside of the Cody stuff, I watch that and then I kind of move on, just to see kind of where they're going with the Bloodline story and him and all that stuff. I'm interested to see what happens Friday, obviously with USA in the steel cage match, man, between him and Solo is going to be pretty cool. So it's interesting, man. Like I said, I love WWE's doing a lot of great things, just like AEW's doing a lot of great things. But we constantly, I feel like everybody's really hard on AEW because the voices are a little louder because there's more of them in WWE fandom. And so it's like, but I have love and hate for everything. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not nitpicking either. I should say I am nitpicking both sides because there are stuff where I'm just like, God, it doesn't have to be this bad. There's no, like, you couldn't fill this 7 minutes or 8 minutes with something else other than this shit. And there's things like that are very, very frustrating. WWE's lack of tag team wrestling is always going to be my number one pet peeve. But we'll see what happens. Maybe when the Super Soaker Nerf guns come to NXT, we'll see how that goes.
That's going to be terrible. One more thing about Bash in Berlin. I hate WWE's strap match.
See, I love the Four Corners thing, but you thought they were going to bleed?
No, I just thought it was like, to me, you're going to do a strap match, make it like the dog collar match.
Sure.
Like, to me, the Four Corners thing is kind of corny.
I thought their scoreboards were the worst thing of all time. Why would they put those lights up there? It's so stupid. That was so dumb.
I was like,
that they were like trying to make it sporty, is what they were trying to do.
They were trying to, and
it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
I'm just not a fan of that. Like, I think you should have just gave him a strap, just let him go, and then the winner gets a win by pinfall.
Agreed.
And, but I get what they're doing. Back to your point about the feuds being elongated. I kind of figured this was going to go to Bad Blood. It made the most sense.
Yeah, which is cool. That needed to be a 3-1, and that's perfect. That feud has gone on all year for good reason, because Punk was hurt for 6 months of it.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, 100%. The New Day and Karrion Kross thing, why is that still fucking going on?
Yeah, that needs to go
bro,
away.
What are we doing? But
well, I mean, I'll give them one thing. They did kind of just fire Odyssey Jones out of nowhere.
Yeah, I guess they didn't really
have
much.
So, I mean, I guess they tried to end it, and then I guess they had to, go back to it.
Yeah, right. All right. This is we're going to the randomizer. We're going to the board, and this week's random question is: who is your favorite jobber? Do you have a favorite jobber? See, because Mike is much younger than me, obviously, so he wasn't really probably a fan or a super fan during the real jobber area where they were bringing in Barry Hardy and Barry Horowitz and guys like that. Were the true jobber nature, but there are guys now that are enhancement talent. I like to call them jobber because I think it's more fun. But enhancement talent. Who is your favorite jobber or enhancement talent so far? And they don't have to be a jobber forever, but they've been a job. Maybe they were a jobber in AEW during the early years on AEW Dark. Maybe you tell me.
So
who's your favorite jobber?
I got a couple. So an obscure one from WWE ECW.
Okay.
Colin Delaney. You remember this guy?
So do you know that Colin is a famed Cleveland independent wrestler? Do you know that?
No.
Yes. So Colin is very famous in the northern Michigan, Ohio, Canada area. He is in a group called To Infinity and Beyond with the former Cheech. And Colin Delaney, man, he's a great independent wrestler.
So I remember him getting busted up by he was getting destroyed.
He was almost James Ellsworth before James Ellsworth. I was just going to say
James Ellsworth was a good one.
Yeah.
May have overstayed his welcome, but it was fun.
I'll be telling you though, the funny thing about James Ellsworth, I loved the Carmella thing. I thought it was funny. I thought it was good. And him getting the briefcase. Yeah, the briefcase down. I thought that was great.
So that was good. His whole thing with Styles and Ambrose.
Oh yeah,
that was great stuff.
yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought that was
I
one
was
of the
there.
times where WWE, where Vince wanted to mock us as fans, and we were like, "Oh, okay, fuck you. We actually like it. How about that?"
Dude, one of my very few WWE shows that I went to a SmackDown at Prudential in 2016. I remember most of the card. Um, and the main event was it was Moxley and Styles I don't know if it was for the title, but I know James Ellsworth ran right by me in the crowd
That's
and like
incredible.
made a whole thing, and I think Styles ended up winning or something.
Okay.
I think that was when he turned on him. When he
Okay.
turned on Mox.
Okay.
But that was good. And then right now, I love seeing Serpentico just getting the shit kicked out of him. It's
Poor
my favorite
Serpentico,
thing.
man. My guy gets paid to get his head kicked in.
Dude, I mean, Luther somehow made it out of there and
Yeah, I
got
mean,
a good gig.
you know, yeah, Luther being with Tony, also being a creative guy backstage, this is pretty crazy too that he's managed to stay involved. Yeah, Serpentico, that's a tough one.
Serpentico, dude, every time I go to a Dynamite or a Collision or whatever, I love seeing this guy get mauled before the show starts. It's just great. It's great. It's a great like pregame to the show.
That's good. Okay, I'm gonna say my favorite is obviously more of the older generation, but Barry Horowitz, man, I thought the pat on the back was hilarious, and I thought that his jacket it was sequined and it had his handprint on the back in a different colored sequin is incredible. And I think it's funny that Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano do it now. Obviously, Horowitz had a career from a long-spanning career in WWE. He went over on Chris Candido, which was a huge feud. Kind of crazy, man. Just things I remember as a childhood, but that was obviously right during my time frame as a kid. And so I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed the Job Squad, and that's kind of what made me think of this. I was a huge Too Cold Scorpio fan and Flash Funk, and so that's what kind of made me think of this question. But yeah, man, the jobber scene, enhancement talent, what a tough gig, because it's like, you're not going to win, or maybe you do. Maybe you get a little storyline that gives you a story arc of a wild time. And James Ellsworth made a little bit of money that he would have never made in professional wrestling, and pretty cool. All right, last one. Here we go. One has to go. This is where I really pull out the big guns. And this one is, I saved it just for you because I thought that this would really be a good one for us. It is AEW feuds. One has to go. You got to get rid of one. In the top left, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. In the top right, FTR versus the Young Bucks. In the bottom left, Hangman versus Swerve. And bottom right, MJF versus CM Punk. One has to go. AEW feuds over the last 5 years. Tank, which one are you getting rid of?
That's a little rough.
No, it's a good. I feel like these are like the top four.
So Punk and MJF has to stay. That feud is by far the best feud in AEW. I'm kind of shocked you didn't put Hangman and Kenny on here.
I was going to, but I already had Hangman on there once, so I mixed it up.
Fair enough. Swerve and Hangman has been the greatest feud of the last year.
Do you rank it higher? I rank it higher than Drew and CM Punk. Do you rank it higher than that?
I do too.
Okay.
I'd say those are probably the top two feuds in both companies.
Okay.
But I would put Hangman and Swerve just a little bit above.
Okay.
Because I love how over time it's become a doubles. I love a good double turn.
Sure.
And I think they nailed it perfectly. Like you see as Swerve is becoming a babyface, you see Hangman just going downhill.
Sure.
And I love the fact that they've portrayed him as a hero.
I think so too. I think
that's
they've
my
done a
favorite
really
part
good.
of it.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job building.
Because if you really look at it, he's not wrong.
No,
He's
not at
really
all.
not wrong. And I think that he is the thing with Hangman is he's like the quintessential wrestler.
Yeah.
I think he's very good at portraying emotions and portraying, just little nuances.
Yeah, he's a very textbook wrestler.
Yeah,
professional wrestler that you want.
Very good, and he's very good at leaving like little hints of things. And I love anything that he touches. It's always good. And I just can't take that away. I mean, it's easily between Mox and Kingston and Bucks and FTR.
Yeah.
I mean, I give the. I think I'm going Eddie Kingston and Mox. I think I'm
Okay.
taking that out because I just can't, in good conscience, get rid of FTR and the Bucks because they've just
Right.
had such a good
Same.
run of matches.
Same.
Um,
So you're getting rid of
I
Kingston
do,
and Mox.
yeah, I do. It's sad because I do love that feud, and I do
Yeah.
think that that set up a lot of
Man, that set up a lot. Kingston was a star because of that, I felt like.
yeah.
They really made him. Not that he wasn't great before, and I think Kingston, I'm a huge Kingston fan. I just hate his gear. Just the absolute god-awfulest wrestling gear of all fucking time. Holy shit. And I've complained about gear a lot because I think it's a big part of it. I think it's a huge part of it. Yeah, just terrible. Okay, so for me, man, I'm going to tell you, I'm actually getting rid of MJF and Punk.
Oh my god.
And I'll tell you this why. I'll say that I obviously love tag team wrestling, and Bucks FTR is something I wanted to see. Huge Bucks fan. Kingston and Moxley was great, and it built up Kingston, and I thought it was a really cool part of AEW. It was really different. It was when we were really showing something different to fans. Hangman Swerve is obviously what I think is the best feud. That I actually think it's the best feud in AEW history. MJF versus Punk didn't get enough longevity for me. I think if Punk was still there and they were still going at it, maybe, and it went longer.
And they were just about to do it too.
So for me, I'll be honest with you too, man. MJF does the same promo every week. I get it. He's a star. I get it. But right now, I'm kind of like, ugh, God. But in the ring, I'm like, God damn, he's good.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. But yeah, man, I'm actually getting rid of MJF and Punk. Punk did so many great things for AEW coming back and all this stuff. Of course, the injuries and all those things. So outside of that, I don't need it. I think without the feuds, those other three feuds, those guys aren't as big. I think we're tired of Hangman if he doesn't have this Swerve deal. I don't think Swerve is a world champion without the Hangman deal. I don't think Eddie Kingston gets over without the Mox thing. I don't think Mox is rejuvenated with the BCC without the Kingston deal. I obviously don't think FTR, if they never beat the Bucks and they never wrestle and they never do all that stuff and they never have this stuff that they've had, that discussion of who's the best tag team of all time, then you don't have it. So for me, the MJF Punk thing, they've both done so much outside of that feud that it's like, I can do without it. If I never got it, it's okay. I don't know, man. Interesting. AEW feuds. One has to go. If you're watching live, let me know what your thoughts are and tell me why. Don't just get on there and be like, well, obviously it's this. I'm like, relax, Roman Reigns fans. But yeah, man, what a week. A lot of wrestling things happening. This guy's going to Grand Slam soon. I'm going to miss so far right now, I'm missing every wrestling event that's been in Nashville this year. It feels like I'm out of town. Not great, but hopefully I'll be able to bounce back and see some stuff soon live in person. I'm obviously watching every week, but yeah, man, thanks for joining us this week, Tank. Tank's keeping it going. I always appreciate Tank joining and talking wrestling with your boy. Yeah, man, until next time, when me and the boys go around the mat.